that's just
some drama,
some suspense.
That's on some soul suspense stuff.
We're dropping.
I thought it was Terminator for a moment. Hey, that's the drama. That's the drama. I love it. I love it. I love it. Terminator. Yes, sir. Pay your rent on time, or I'm gonna have to drop the eviction bomb. Blow your spot up. Oh man, here we go.
Oh man, yeah.
Are we recording yet?
Yeah, we're recording right now, man. So,
yeah.
yeah.
All right. Y'all seen us? We're messing around with the song. Are we live on Facebook?
We're not
too?
live on Facebook just yet. We're gonna go live right now.
Going live. We're just doing a little check with our sound effects.
All right, we're live right now, man.
All the way across, on all channels.
On all
We're
channels.
live on all channels. So yeah, we're just playing around with the buttons. Yeah, these buttons are. Yeah, I'm excited about these, man. Dropping these in the podcast. Well, this is absolutely excited about that.
Exactly. So yeah, you might be on Facebook Live and you can't necessarily hear them just yet. We're working on making sure that you guys can hear all that stuff too. So
absolutely coming soon. Nate's building it out. So yeah, everyone can enjoy what we're doing throughout all social media platforms. So I'm so excited about where we're headed in 2020.
Exactly. Yeah, we were just talking about, just making sure that audio quality is, top notch. We know that, as you're listening, we want to make sure that this is a great experience for everyone. But B, man, thanks for joining me again, man. What's good?
What's up? Thursday's here again, man. I know everything's running together. Weeks just seems like we were here yesterday, man.
It's crazy, man.
I love it though.
So we just finished up a nice coaching call.
Yeah. We recorded it.
Yep. All our members in the Multifamily Matrix. Make sure you guys sign up and get your weekly time with Bryan. Had a great call. What were some of the things that we talked about today, man?
I mean, it was a lot of it was kind of around, the commercial wholesaling.
Right.
So the two new caller clients were one was well established in Tallahassee. Big shout out to Carlos and his group. And then Jesus in Orlando, Florida, just starting out in the wholesaling business, but wanted to go a different route, different path, wanted to wholesale, get into the commercial wholesaling and add that to the residential that he was single family homes that he was already doing. So
exactly.
Just a lot about helping them develop the scripts and understanding how to quickly evaluate, because, there's difference when you're syndicating like I'm doing, you're looking for investment properties. It's, there's no shortcuts on the due diligence process. Right. But, when you're looking to wholesale, you're only trying to lock it up under contract. You're really trying to find out if it's a good deal. There's, you don't really need to go into the depth in the due diligence and the underwriting process. You just really need to get the value quickly.
Exactly.
So talking about that.
I remember Jesus in the call was talking about how he approached an apartment owner, a small apartment owner, and he was kind of romantically connected to his property and wanted.
Yeah, and why some those calls and it comes with experience, and it's good that he went through that process of getting chewed up and spit out. But he'll eventually understand that this business or that wholesaling business is about creating your pipeline.
Yep. And
cold calling and doing whatever it is you got to do to get these individuals on the phone, and then quickly assess the situation and weed them out.
Right.
And fun, ones that are like this gentleman that are just stuck on a certain price. Give me $4 million. That's all I want to talk about. My property's worth this, and I'm not taking if that's their approach, then, it's like, yes, sir, I appreciate that. Here's my information. I'll circle back with you in a few months and see where you're at.
Exactly.
You tell them what you can do for them, how you can be of service to them, but get them off the phone and on to the next, because, really it becomes a point where it's really about how many people within a day you can touch, especially if you work a full-time job like he does.
Correct.
So how many people can I touch and offer my services of value? And then for him, it's how does he do it organically when he doesn't have the depth of knowledge maybe like that I have to be able to hold conversations and go down various different rabbit holes with these guys and then bring them back to the point to where we can see, value and how both of us can have a win-win situation.
Right.
When you don't have those skill sets, you can be taking down these rabbit holes and may never come back to the point of how we can be of service and how we can create a win-win.
Right.
So it's like, how do you create a script? for him.
Yep.
How do you insulate him with the services and tools
Correct.
he needs to quickly make evaluations? And then, then of course, when we get to the point of him locking up his first deal, how do you lock up the deal? How do you then go to your list of syndicators like myself that are looking to buy, properties, possibly even cash, and then how do you orchestrate that? But, a lot of that, he already has because he's wholesaled some houses before. So the process really is the same. It's just locking it up, different techniques on being able to put money up.
Exactly.
Because when you're dealing with commercial, people want to see a deposit, for the, when you usually attach to the LOI. But, how do you work that?
Right.
How do you, do you bring in an investor to do that? What other techniques are there available for individuals to either circumvent that or to be able to use an investor's, capital to do that. So,
exactly.
Just being able to give them all the tools and resources they need to be successful to wholesale an apartment building.
Nice, man. I love it. Well, speaking of offering services and offering value, we had the privilege of sitting in on a discussion today with the CEO of NARPM and the CEO of Buildium, listening to the 2020 trends of the property management industry, and got some great insights on how to actually add value. And I know you had some things that you wanted to add as well. So we're going to chime into that and just talk about some of the things that we were able to discover, and then also where you thought some of the things were missing. So I know they were going off on a variety of areas, but I think you said one area that was missing that they didn't really cover was ownership.
Yeah, well, they discussed property management companies and their abilities to create revenue streams and their abilities to, and this stuff, Nathan, you heard, I've been saying this for almost 10 years now.
Correct.
So, the sheet of music I'm singing off of, the music me and you are making is hasn't changed. But I've said from day one, property management companies, giving suggestions on creating revenue streams and then understanding what I'm about to talk about, the greatest revenue stream opportunity, but that they have to become a consultant more than a property management company, because you have to figure out how to be of service to others. And, how do you become of service to your owners? And then, thinking up other alternatives and services that your property management company can offer. But for me, I think the biggest piece that was missing is really a property management company should think about, becoming a syndicator. For me, it was that gave me the confidence to become a syndicator. I think that's the missing piece. I think any great syndicator should be, or have been, or is currently a great property manager or asset manager. I wouldn't trust a syndicator or a general partner who, basically subcontracted that out third party to a property management company.
Right.
That's just me personally. I would have reservations, about that. I want to know the general partner was well versed in property management and day-to-day operations, as well as asset management, portfolio management. I would want them to have these, but more importantly, I would want them to be able to, if all hell broke loose, that you could show up on that property and maintain it and operate it.
And that's what they said that in 2020 there's going to be more of a need of the highly skilled asset manager, educated asset manager who understands operations from start to finish.
Right.
So yeah.
So if you're looking back on podcasts, and then now you're looking at this report,
right?
What I've been saying falls in an alignment with what these gentlemen and this young lady said, or what this gentleman and this young lady, they're basically, they're reinforcing.
Exactly. And we're going to make sure that this industry trends report is up on bryanchavis.com. So make sure you go to bryanchavis.com and you'll be able to download the industry report. One of the things, so when you're thinking about, so back to Jesus and, running up on this owner of this apartment complex, let's put them in the mindset of someone who actually owns properties. You actually own property. So, there's things that they have as priorities. One is like acquiring new clients, new tenants, finding ways to work more efficiently, improving communications and increasing revenue and profitability. So, as an apartment owner, like if someone actually came up to you and told you, asked you certain questions, you might be open to having a conversation with them versus just saying, "Hey, can I buy your apartment complex?"
Correct.
Tell me more about some of the things that you would be open. How would you approach,
And that's a great question. First of all, it would really has to do with, the location of the property.
Right.
So I assess the situation at hand. So I'm looking at the property, its location. I'm looking at its owner. For me, I can quickly put visual boots on the ground and see where your deficiencies are. You can see that in a lot of YouTube videos where I'm stepping foot on a property and quickly am able to assess the situation based on the interaction either with the leasing staff, management, the interaction with the property and its curb appeal in general.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, I listen. I think I receive more information by just simply listening. And then I ask a series of questions that are strategically placed. And those questions are going to be based upon what I hear the owner's issues are. So, whether it be, turnover, delinquency, turnover and delinquency, a combination, finding good maintenance, being able to handle, maintenance tickets in a timely manner,
Mm-hmm.
poor curb appeal, what things can they, so just listening, where are the disconnects, and being able to then, offer up some insight there. Like I said, there's very few operators that cannot improve.
Right.
Period. End of story. So I can, I can maximize income and minimize expenses. I can look to someone and say, quickly assess the situation. Well, you have high turnover.
Correct.
Yeah. Is that the issue? Tons of delinquencies, people paying late on rent. Yeah. Can I see your qualifying criteria? So I can drill down to why you have these issues is because who you're catering your product to, the demographic and psychographic of the prospect tenant. You haven't honed in on that. You haven't developed qualifying criteria to be able to filter that. So you're just leasing and renting to anyone who comes in who may qualify through the tenant screening process, which is a background check, and if they have a job. But there's other things within the qualifying criteria that will help me suss out the ideal prospect tenant for this particular property.
Correct.
So understanding that can help. I mean, the eviction process starts at the move-in process. A lot of people don't realize that your eviction process starts the day I hand keys over to you.
Right.
So, going through the qualifying criteria, the rules and regulations, and having the move-in meeting out, setting the rules and examples and giving you the expectations that I have of you and then you should have of me as the management company or owner. That process of eliminating eviction starts the day I hand you the keys. And then understanding that, that you're through your systems and being when an individual is late, being able to handle it immediately, address it immediately when they're late, making sure that the proper notices get on the door the right way, making sure that you're following up and getting the individual in. For me, I don't have a grace period.
Right.
That part plaza.
Yeah.
Rent's due on the 1st, late on the 2nd. The law gives you a grace period, the 3-day notice that we must put on the door. I can't come after you for rent within those 3 days. I got to give you 3 days. Mm-hmm. So if the law is giving you 3 days, why am I going to give you another 5 days in the grace period? So I won't, because it just prolongs, especially now moving into the holiday season.
Right.
Because things back up in the court system. So, these are things that you just can help an owner or an operator with when it comes to day-to-day operations at their property at the operational level. So how are they operating? Then how are they handling maintenance? How are they handling the day-to-day interactions with their tenants? Curb appeal. There's just so much I can go into, to be able to help assess. I can look at leasing staff and how are you showing your rental units? You know what I mean? Are you providing a tour? How are you closing at the end? Are you asking for the close? Are you asking for the security deposit and for them to fill out an application? Because if you're not asking, then you're not closing. So, at the end of the day, what is that? So I can help you increase, stickiness, when it comes to, how long your units are sitting vacant. That might be It might not be the problem of the units themselves. It may be in the way you're showing the rental units.
Right.
You know, how can I increase revenue? How do I increase gross operating income on a property? You know, our effective gross income on a property. You know, can I increase rents? And if I can, you know, can we do that through amenity packages that we offer? You know what I mean? Understanding that, you know, how you improve these rental units, Nate. You know, do we offer technology?
Right.
Or do we understand, like in Park Plaza, no, technology is the phone.
Right. So,
you know what I mean? Smart technology is the phone. So
Exactly.
for me to spend tons of money to make my unit smart
right.
is a fool's errand.
Right. And so, yeah, I wanted to actually, you know, prompt you on that. So we heard, you know, and there was the research that was done. Only about 10% of people care about smart technology in their apartment complex. And it might be different when you own your own home, but smart technology is not an upgrade that you should be investing in as
because smart technology is now mobile.
Correct.
You know, especially when you're in the rental market.
Correct.
These individuals are not looking for it to be built in.
Correct.
It's mobile. Alexa goes where you go. You unplug her.
Yep.
If we left right now, you unplug Alexa, you take her to wherever your new spot is. You take your mobile phone to wherever the new spot is. Most of the lights and the things that you can control through your phone are plugged in, you know. So you take all that with you. So for me to invest money into technology, no. So I invested the money in the actual hardware, the fixtures, the things that they see when they walk in, ceiling fans, flooring, fixtures, doorknobs, vanities in the bathrooms. Those are the areas that and every time I put something in, I associated a dollar amount with that.
Correct.
You know, what I can get fair market value for that. By upgrading the vanities, how much can I push the rents?
Correct.
You know, a dollar amount needs to be associated. And then I'll add one more thing.
Yep.
Then it's the payback period.
Right.
So I put in $1,500 to $1,700. How quickly, based on the new rent schedules, do I get you know, is that paid up? Is that payback period? Right. So for us, it's like 3.2 months.
Correct.
You know, because we went from $785 weighted average at Park Plaza all the way to $1,000 now we're getting for those units. So, you know, the payback period is you know, it makes sense to put those amenities in, those upgrades in at $1,700 to $1,800, if not even $2,000, because, you know, our payback period is you know, is only 3.8 months, 3.4 months or something like that. So, you know, it makes sense. So understanding how to improve your product is key in this rental market. You know what I mean? It's just not going in there with a wand or a checkbook, and you know, you really have to understand who your prospect tenant demographic is and really speak to them when they enter in your units.
I love it, man. And so, yeah, I mean, these are some of the top issues that property managers face. You know, you're looking at, so within this list, there's probably about 10 to 15 different areas that property managers have challenges with, but the top 5: efficiency, growth, maintenance, vendors, and overall accounting. You know, and so, you know,
those are the same top 5 last year, year before.
Exactly.
Then,
exactly. Always the top 5.
Always the top 5.
But yeah, if you're looking to figure out how can I add value to someone who's managing a rental portfolio, you know, being able to help them solve those issues will be a great value. And
it's a starting point.
And there was a cool statistic that they had shared that intentional investors, they're on the rise for investing in apartment complexes, but that accidental and that unintentional landlord, they're getting out of the game. And there's a lot of these people that are holding properties that have inherited them, you know, stumbled upon them by being real estate agents or so on.
I forgot what that statistic was, and we'll share that.
Yeah.
But that is something that if I was in the wholesaling business or I was a realtor or a broker, that's something that I'd be gravitating towards. What type of marketing pieces can I put together to speak to that individual?
Because these folks are getting their butts kicked, man.
And they want out.
Yep.
They want a solution.
Yep.
So, you know, and if I'm in the solution business, if I'm like a wholesaler, I'd rather deal with that individual with a small apartment building than I would a single family rental. That, you know, obviously I'm doing the same amount of work. I might as well get paid more.
Right.
You know, the decimal point's going to move over, obviously, and a couple of spots with the commercial.
And they said, you know, 2018 was the first year that rentals took over. It was more rentals than home ownership.
Yeah.
So it now has shifted on its head, where it's not necessarily the American dream to own this home. It's, you know, I want to rent in a nice community, you know, all the different amenities that are available. Yeah.
So let's speak on that. But look, I mean, we were in Austin, Texas. You seen that community that we had dinner in? The Domain in Austin, Texas. Big shout out to the Domain. You seen that environment?
Yep.
That environment was that ecosystem was created based upon, no one really ever staying forever.
No.
It's people. People now they're used to the shared economy. They're used to, now it's taboo to say I'm going to put roots in one spot. Mm-hmm. Even with a family. We seen families at this spot. Before it was like, no, you get a home, you put your family in, little Susie, you notch out every time she grows on the post or whatever, it's not like that anymore. People want that ability, that flexibility to be able to move, to be able to have shopping centers and coffee shops and all this within walking distance in these micro, communities that they're developing, these little ecosystems, these little communities. Right. So, I mean, at the end of the day, and I've been speaking to this for over a decade now and saying, hey, look, this is the direction that it's moving in. Right. So if I'm a property manager, I'm licking my chops, Well,
you're licking your chops, but here's the thing, man. So the overall profession of property management is going down, but the renters are going up. And so there's a huge need for practitioners, people who are excelling this. If you're a wholesaler, like this is a great opportunity for people to snatch up, like we said, people are getting out of this industry because they just don't understand it. It's too much for them. They accidentally got into it.
But look at and again, we weren't speak to the numbers of why people are getting out, because I guarantee if you take a much more granular look, it's the realtor that sold homes that decided to get into property management to keep the car payment of the Mercedes that they paid for,
right?
So they can drive their clients around and keep, whatever lifestyle they had. They decided to get involved with property management as an afterthought and really wasn't a practitioner.
Correct.
So they enter into the space, get their butt kicked, and exit the space.
That's right.
Whenever the opportunity, because another job came along or maybe housing picked up, which is not the case,
right?
But most likely another offer came along and they got out and they exited. So I think the reason why you see a decline is because of who actually was in there. They got their butt kicked and they're out. They were never really practitioners to begin with. We speak to practitioners. We speak to people who built property management companies who understood that the main focus should be on passive income.
Correct.
There's not passive income in selling homes. That's commission based.
Right.
How do you build a business around a commission-based model is beyond me. Why you would put that energy in building a business around a commission-based business is beyond me. I would build my brokerage around property management.
Correct.
And then if I, as alternative revenue streams, if I wanted to sell a house or sell retail or commercial, I would look at sales, but I would focus on what could bring in passive income, which is obviously the property management piece. And then as I perfected that and I got comfortable with putting in the right types of systems and staffing it, then I'm looking at how do I take my property management business and create myself an ownership through the syndication process. How can the property management company now morph into or add to the umbrella a syndication where I'm a general partner, and I'm saying I will go out and not only find properties because I'm a licensed real estate agent and broker. I'll find a deal, a project. I'll service the deal. I'll manage the deal. And I'll take X percentage as the general partner.
Love it.
For me, that's the ultimate game. We should all be involved with real estate to own.
Yep.
To own.
Exactly.
To be able to drive down the street and say, I have ownership in that building, or that's a project, that's my project.
Right.
Not stand in front of your car, stand in front of a jet, and on the hood of a Lamborghini and talk to me about real estate. That's I can't tell you how stupid, how irritated I get when I see that. Stand in front of a building you own.
Correct.
Talk to me about, that buying the block, how we say in our podcast, buy the block. You know? Talk to me about how you're talking about buying the block. Talk to me about how you're talking about buying your next your next apartment building. How do we take individuals from selling homes to owning and operating property management to then becoming syndicators? That's the progression that I would like. That's the subject that I want. That's what we should be focusing on.
Agreed.
If I'm a real estate professional, and
Agreed.
all of this information they put in this report
Yep.
Speaks to everything we've been saying for the last 10 years.
Exactly. And you'll be able to get this report at bryanchavis.com/industry report. The reason I wanted to touch on that, B, is that, as a digital marketer, I tend to look at different industries and I look at competition. What is the competition level of the industry? And when the competition is low, it's a great opportunity for my clients to go in and actually take over. And so we're seeing this decline in property managers, not because of the financial aspects, but they just don't know how to operate these properties. They don't know what they're doing.
It's like coming to the pros.
Right.
We start washing out what you did in collegiate.
Yep.
When you get to the pros, you figure out the game is much faster.
Yep.
Look at that boy with the Jets.
Yep.
He was talking about in the little thing they shot before the game. He was saying that I picked up so much because I started watching film, and so I'm not improvising with the plays anymore. So I'm learning the playbook more in depth, right? Son, Tom Brady, while you're thinking about it and you're improvising, Tom Brady's in the film room. Fast forwarding, rewinding, fast forwarding, rewind. Ray Lewis, I know for a fact because I'm there and I'm listening with Ray.
Yep.
I sat at Ray's house with him, okay, on multiple times. When he won the Super Bowl and the Super Bowl MVP for the first time, he stayed with me in Tampa. I've sat with Ray, and I listened and talked and watched him film, backwards, forwards, rewind, same play over and over again. While these other cats are trying to improvise.
Correct.
These guys are mastering 10,000 hours to become 20,000 hours to master your skill. These guys are practitioners. So when a practitioner meets someone who's just half-assing it, you see a 30-0 score.
I got to drop a bomb on that.
Drop a bomb. There it is. That's what the Jets got blown up. You see 30-0. Couldn't even post numbers. When someone who's just half-assing, someone who's just like a lot of the people we see at these groups when we go and we speak at all over the country.
Correct.
We see people who are just interested or who are interested in real estate. You see people interested in property management get involved with. When that interested person meets a practitioner,
done.
It's a wrap. That's why they're exiting.
Yep.
Because it's like, the game is much faster.
Yep.
Yeah. Middle linebacker runs a 4.2. You were used to the DBs running a 4. Middle linebacker, hell, some of these tackles run. Yeah, these folks, it's a different. These windows become smaller to throw into. Jameis Winston.
Yep.
It was easy to throw into those windows in college. You can't throw those same type of balls and be looking your receiver in the eye, and those windows are smaller. The timing is. It's a much faster game. And so you see them get to the pros, and you're like, wait a minute, this is a Heisman Trophy winner.
Right.
It's the same. Wait a minute, this guy was the top sales agent in our office getting his butt kicked in property management and you haven't seen that with syndicators yet because the economy hasn't washed out a lot of folks.
Correct.
So you're going to be able to see who's a true practitioner at the syndication level as well, Nate, because right now the economy has been real good. Rents has been on the rise, but when you start to see the softening in the economy, you look at the new IMF reports, and you start looking at, no matter how long the inverted yield curve was or was not, I'm not here to discuss that, but you start seeing signs of a softening in the economy. You'll start to see who really knows how to underwrite projects,
absolutely,
who knows how to manage and operate projects when you can weather the storm. You'll start to see the same thing happen to syndicators.
Because like we said, I mean, this mix of intentional investors with the accidentals getting out, there's a huge opportunity for syndicators to snatch up properties, but they're missing out on one key thing is that, each property is its own little ecosystem in that local area. If you don't know that local area and you can't manage that property standalone, if you're grabbing properties all across the United States and don't have the ecosystem to manage it, it's tough. It's dangerous, man.
It's tough, and that's where you do employ the help of property managers. But I'm not just going to employ the help of property managers. When we're out of state, I'm going to still train that staff based on how I want you to operate. My our boy Paul Sampson from the Franchise Edge would appreciate this. No matter what we do, with Chavis Capital, no matter what projects we take down, no matter if I have to get a third-party property manager and bring them in and then I'm the asset manager over,
Right.
they still will have to, in order to take over my property, they will have to be trained in the ways of how we operate our properties at Chavis Capital based upon our management plan that we set.
Exactly.
Not the management plan that they've set for my property, but the management plan that I've set for the property manager that they have to execute. And then me as the asset manager, I'm maintaining and watching over and making sure that third-party property manager adheres to the management plan that I set forth and the training that I set forth for them to go through.
Right.
So, even then, I'm benefiting from their local knowledge, but I'm also making sure that they're well trained in the way we handle things and we do things, because you got to think of when you're building your portfolio of apartment buildings, it's a franchise. True. And it has to operate from an operational standpoint. When you have a portfolio, it needs to be identifiable. Mm-hmm. It needs to be predictable, mm-hmm. because through predictability comes profitability. I'll say that again. Through predictability comes profitability.
Dropping a bomb on that.
Drop another bomb. So you can't get to profitability until you've mastered predictability. How do you master predictability? It's through systems.
Correct.
What are systems? They identify the work that needs to be done, then tell the user how to go about performing that work. Mm. So for me, that is the hallmark of who we are at Chavis Capital. So I'm going to make sure whether or not a third party management, you're still going to have to adhere to the way we do things operationally.
Right.
So I can ensure that there's consistency. And then when there's consistency, then there's profitability. When there's profitability, then there's shareholder happiness. Then our investors are happy because we're reaching our pref. When we're reaching our prefs, then we're getting paid on the waterfall structure.
Exactly.
That's how that's in a nutshell. That's syndication 101.
101. Well, real quick before we take off, man, where can people go to hone their skills and become this excellent property manager, asset manager, syndicator? What type of resources are available to them?
Yeah, I mean, and before we, brag on our own,
go for it.
There's great guys out there that are doing and have good educational pieces too. So I'd like to be able to shine the light on others who are doing things, in a positive way. Like Jake and Gino. Yep. I love what they're doing and the education that they have. I was on their podcast. There's countless others out there who are doing, that have great educational programs. As far as asset management, property management, underwriting, and involving it with apartments, for me, I'm always, the multifamily matrix, what we've created is the best, I think, in coaching and consulting. Most of our training materials are approved for CE. So, we're at a different level when it comes to providing training, because, our training, we train housing authorities, government agencies. We train, real estate professionals, brokers, agents. Our stuff is approved for CE. So, I think we bring, we bring a real, different level of training and education. Absolutely. And then now with the multifamily matrix, from which we've created and worked on over the last year, and now have launched, creating this matrix is just, for me, it's just, this is, if I had this when I started, you know what I mean? I get chills just thinking about the multifamily matrix. If I had that, exactly. These resources in my hand, the ability to underwrite, have tools, have flyers, have websites, have, consulting, one-on-one consulting, have, the author who wrote the book break it down for you, and be able to have access to all these forms and contracts and all the things that I need to be successful in one place. Specifically to apartments. Correct. Yeah, man. I mean, it's, for me, yeah, it's that's why we did it, man. That's why we did it.
Absolutely. And you can learn more about the multifamily matrix at bryanchavis.com/matrix. We don't want to make this into a sales pitch, but we understand what your goals are of owning multifamily and actually operating it. We understand that once you actually acquire the property, you really should master the operational side. So we put together a huge variety of resources, including weekly coaching sessions with Bryan Chavis himself. So you have the opportunity to speak with Bryan Chavis and his team on a weekly basis. We're going to really help you reach your goals. So that's why it's important that we talk about that on the podcast, and not necessarily try to just do a sales pitch. But, please stick with us. Make sure you subscribe to Buy the Block with Bryan Chavis.
Yes, and like Gary V says, I'm watching too.
Exactly.
We're keeping an eye on you. Please subscribe, guys.
And don't forget to ask your questions. You can reach out to us at bryanchavis.com. You can reach out to us on the podcast platforms and ask your questions directly through the podcast platforms. This is for you guys. We want to answer your questions. We want to talk to you. And B, once again, man, thank you for joining me, bro. And I look forward to speaking with you next week.
Absolutely. And don't forget, Nate, they're able to hang out with us now. That's in 2020.
Absolutely.
We have our meetup starting in 2020.
Exactly.
We have our apartment socials kicking off again. We gave you a small sample of the socials over the last couple of months, the drinks and the food and the hanging out. And now we're doing it at a much higher level. We've seen where we can improve on that, and it's just a nice vibe to come out and hang with other successful investors and industry leaders. And then we're gonna have the educational content. We're gonna be breaking down properties on a monthly basis, walking you through underwriting, walking you through asset management, portfolio management. At our meetups, we're gonna guys, we expect to see you at the Buy, Rent, Profit meetups, and sponsored by Chavis Capital and Buy the Block. So, guys, we, you're going to be able to rub elbows with us on a monthly basis at multiple times, multiple venues.
Exactly. So make sure you go to bryanchavis.com to learn more about all our events, all of our socials, everything that we can do to help you be successful in owning multifamily in 2020. And once again, B, thank you so much, man. I look forward to speaking with you next week, brother.
Thanks, man. See you next week.
All right, talk to you soon.
Thank you.